here from Rain Country Homestead. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to make some orange pumpkin bread. This is my own recipe. It was one I made up on the fly a while back, and I'm hoping to repeat it the best I can since I just made it up based on just a basic pumpkin bread recipe. And then I take it and add my own flair. So I have 4 eggs. I'm going to use a total of 3 cups of flour. I'm going to start with an organic unbleached white flour, and in here I have a tablespoon of, well, it's better than a tablespoon of baking powder. And I'm going to be putting in my own home ground, well, it's not my own wheat, but wheat that I ground myself, white wheat, flour. I'm hoping I have, oh, I was right, pretty close to 2 cups. That's good. I was going to make this out of all whole wheat, but since it's going to be a little bit heavy anyway with all the other ingredients, usually on breads like this I try to do at least a little bit of white flour just to keep it a little lighter. Okay, I just like my fork for this kind of stuff when I have this much at a time. So you're just going to take your dry ingredients like that, a little bit of salt, maybe half to about a teaspoon. That's about a half teaspoon. I don't want to get too much in there. I'm going to be adding some seeds. I've got hemp seed, about a 1/4 cup of each. That's not quite a 1/4 cup, it's more like just a couple of tablespoons. So how about we say 2 tablespoons of each of the seed. And a couple tablespoons of my dried orange peel, organic, right into the bread, right into the flour. Okay, then you're going to have your spices, and this is going to vary according to how much you want to use. I like a lot. Cloves, typically a lot of recipes will only have a 1/4 teaspoon. I use about a teaspoon, up to a teaspoon of cloves, at least 1 to 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, which is what I've got here. At least a teaspoon of ginger, and then I'm going to grate some nutmeg into it. I'm just going to grate some of that in there, just kind of, I guess, I don't know how much. Anywhere from a 1/4 teaspoon to a half teaspoon is good. Okay, so I've got those in this bowl. I'm just going to kind of blend them together a little bit. You can see. Now let me switch these bowls out. Got my 4 eggs. I pulled the whisk out because yes, I do actually use my whisk, and I had a subscriber question me why I don't use a whisk more. And you know, it was a good question. And a lot of times I just like my big fork for a lot of the things I do. The whisk is easier for certain things, but not everything. Not for me anyway. Alright, and then what I have here is 2 cups of homegrown organic pumpkin. What I've been doing with my pumpkin is freezing it like this. However, I still, you know, it bothers me that I'm still having to use plastic to do this. But in these food saver bags, it takes up less space than freezing it in jars. Okay, so 2 cups of the pumpkin, getting that mixed together real well. And then you're going to want a cup of oil, and I recommend a good avocado oil. So you're going to need a cup of oil. I got another bottle out because I wasn't sure if there was a whole cup in here, but it looks like I have that. A lot of oil, so you want to make sure it's a good healthy oil. This one I really like because there's no flavor to it, so it's not going to change the taste of whatever you're using it in. And whenever I'm doing something like this, I don't like to use coconut oil much because it's always a little colder here where we're at, so it tends to kind of want to solidify and clump up. So avocado is really good for this. You could also use a good grapeseed oil. You just want to make sure with grapeseed that you definitely get organic. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to mix this all together. And I hope I'm remembering everything. I've got my leavening agent. Oh, I forgot the sugar. I forgot the sugar, folks. Got to add the sugar. So what I'm using today is a 1 cup of coconut sugar, and obviously I needed a bigger bowl. I always forget how much this makes because I don't do breads like this that often. It's just kind of a special treat. And then I'm going to do 1 cup of the organic cane sugar, evaporated. It still has a little bit of the molasses in it, so it's still got a lot of good minerals and stuff in there. And so we're just going to mix this together real good. Okay, so after tasting the batter, I decided it needs more spices. So I went ahead and added a little bit more clove and ginger and cinnamon. And I'm going to put that much more orange peel in it. Again, people, I don't remember how much I used last time because I didn't write it down. I just made it up as I went. Thankfully, I keep base recipes for pumpkin and banana bread. And then that way I can work off of those bases and just kind of change things as I go. Like this recipe here would probably take about 3.5 cups of flour. But since I put a lot of seed and other stuff in there, I cut back a 1/2 cup on the flour. Alright, so I have my cast iron bread pans, and I got mine from Amazon. I'm sure if you have a store that carries a lot of the Lodge cast iron, you can find these there. I did have to get mine online, so I'll link to these below. But anyway, I like to put just a little extra coconut oil in there and then get these good and hot. I do this no matter what kind of bread I'm making. And then of course you're going to put half of your batter into one and half into the other. I'm sticking this in my toaster oven, and that's going to be at 350 for about 50 minutes to an hour. So I'm going to be checking on that. All right, so you see here I have my organic belly 50/50. You could also use whipping cream. I've got my homemade powdered sugar. So I'm going to start with about, this would be about a 1/4 cup. I'll put a little bit more in there. And then I'm going to use a good amount of the powdered orange peel. That's probably about 2 tablespoons. I want a little bit of vanilla, maybe up to a teaspoon. And then I'm just going to add my 50/50 whipping cream, or even water if you choose, a little bit at a time. Okay, this is close. This is still too thick because I want to be able to drizzle it. And you have to keep in mind too with the orange peel, it's going to also soak up some liquid, and it's going to get very thick. So that's pretty much where I want it. Now by the time I go put it on the pumpkin bread, the orange peel may have soaked up a lot of the liquid, and I may end up wanting to add more liquid, but we'll see when we get there. So I'm just going to drizzle this over the top, and you know what? I'm thinking that doesn't look like enough. I'm going to go ahead and whip up some more. So I got my bread out of the pans, and love those cast iron, well-seasoned pans. The bread just slides right out, no problem. And so I'm ready to put the icing on. I got a pretty good consistency there. Letting that icing drizzle all down the sides here. Kind of makes it look cool that way too. A spoon would probably be a little easier in some ways, but I sort of like the control I have with a fork. But when you get down to the bottom, you really need a spoon to get the last little bit out. That's okay. I'm about there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut into this bread. We'll see what it looks like on the inside. Oh wow, look at that. Boy, does it smell good. So there you have it, orange pumpkin bread. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.